Hello, my beautiful gemstones. Welcome to Tuesday's afternoon talk. It's so good to see all you guys here. I see everyone survived the eclipse. I was pretty bummed because we didn't get to see the whole thing. And the way the news made it sound around here was that it was coming through like full force in our area. But what I found out is I'm in northern New Jersey. Most of our news comes from New York, and parts of New York did get to see the whole thing. I feel a little duped. I feel a little cheated. But of course, Ghostdraginzw had my back, and he sent me and my little guy video of the entire thing so we could look directly at it, right? Without glasses. Miss Lotus, no worries. Just good to see you. Good to see you up and moving and interacting. Blue Crossroads, it's so hot here today. I had to open my window and I'm still really hot. I call it all ragweed. I don't actually know what it is out there that makes me allergic. At 41 years old, I just suddenly have these allergies. So if you hear some noise, that's what it is. My never busy street is suddenly busy because I'm streaming. Turn into a zombie. Blue Crossroads, me too. I thought my superhero powers were going to be totally gone during the eclipse or after. Now we just have to get through the retrograde, guys. Second week of May will be over the shadow phase, and everyone should be feeling really, really abundant again, particularly Pisces suns. I'm so glad to be a Pisces sun right now. I really am, because everything that we went through the last 10 years, all y'all are going through in the next 10 years. But now it's our job to bring you guys into it and help you guys get through it. So I take that very seriously, as you guys know, and I'm so glad you guys can make the time to be here with us. Slow motion, what is up? And I hope you're feeling well, by the way. Blue, you too. Ooh, flatbread pizza. I had ramen and my nutrition shake for breakfast, and then I usually eat dinner later. Roger Blair, what's up? Ooh, brown beans and cornbread. Diane Boss, hello, hello. I know my mom said she's going to come in. She called me specifically to tell me she was coming into the stream today because we had Ryan here, which is so cool. We wanted to bring Ryan back because I feel like an hour just wasn't enough. And the Wendigo is not something I've spoken about much here on this channel. I've talked about pale crawlers, but I think even though they look the same, they're not the same thing. Maybe they're a cousin. We can ask Ryan what he thinks about that. I'm just really happy to be here. I'm happy y'all are here. Please don't forget to watch the shorts. And one more quick thing before I bring the guys in. I was just working on the case of Erin Valenti, that tech. She was a tech superwoman. A billionaire mogul who was found deceased in the back of her car, and people started saying it was because she had recently been talking about the Matrix and how we're living in the Matrix and asking people if they were in on it. So my normal scripts that go 45 minutes to an hour are about 8,000 words. This one was 17,000 words. I could not shrink it. I'm very verbose. So I'm doing a two-parter on Erin Valenti, but what I'm doing is part 1 will be at noon, part 2 will be at 1 p.m. So I've been filming that all day. Make sure you guys check that out. That was a lot of work. And then I do have the 11 o'clock coming too, but I don't remember. Oh, the Solder Children. So it's going to be a true crime week come Monday. Thank you all for being so awesome about my break. And please watch any shorts that you missed, guys. It really is helpful. I'm on TikTok now. I haven't posted much, but I'm getting the hang of it. I do make sure to visit every day. So go on over and subscribe. It's GemmaJadeYT, 3 words. Just get on there and just follow me or subscribe, whatever it's called. Area 51, Salvador Soto. Love you guys. So good to see you. Let me bring in the Ghost Dragons, and then we'll bring in our super special, awesome guest. Hello, sir.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Hello, chat. You bring Ryan in. Put him where I'm at now.
I'm sorry, what?
Put me on the bottom and put him beside you. When you bring him in.
Oh, yeah, I'll pull you out first. Yeah, thank you. That would be better. Blue Crossroads, I did not want to, and I've resisted TikTok up to this point, 4 years into my career, but I need money. I'm now freelance writing. Well, I'm not actually freelance writing because I'm still looking for a freelance writing job. But my mentor is helping me. I'm going to be abundant. I'm going to come from an abundant mindset, not a mindset of lack. And I am just going to do my thing. Because I deserve it's our birthright to be abundant, guys, and don't let anyone tell you that it isn't. Okay, watch the shorts I put up today. The ones from yesterday were pretty cool too. I'm proud of them. So Danny Staten. All right, I'm gonna pull Ghost Dragons out, bring them both back in. Any questions you guys have for Ryan about the Wendigo? And just bring it on, okay? Because I'm really excited. I have some questions of my own, and I'm going to kind of let, if I can, Ghostdraginzw lead a little bit because he knows where we left off, and I know that he has a bunch of questions as well. Thank you, Blue Crossroads, for liking everything Ghost has put on Rumble, by the way. Yes, still on Rumble. We're getting there, guys.
It's all on there. I'm all done.
Everything's done? Because I'm trying to just like reorganize my day so I can get all these things done. My Patreon is back up and running, but I haven't posted anything to it yet. If you join Patreon for $20 or more a month, you will get a personal generalized intuitive oracle reading from me automatically every month. That is back in effect. Okay. All right. Let's bring him in. Hello, Ryan.
Yate, everybody.
Put him on top.
I can't. I tried.
It's okay.
All right.
It's okay.
Hold on.
Stop being opinion about Ghost.
What it is if you see where Ghostdraginzw is right now, that is the spot where people mostly look on a screen. So if we like to have the guests like in the place where most people are looking, but it's just not working out that way. Let me try one more time. And if it doesn't work, we'll just do it this way. We want people to have their eyes on you. You are a guest. You're so adorable. I mean, obviously. All right, let me try this again.
Nope.
It just does not like there.
Look, play Mary.
Hold on.
Put him.
Oh.
I'm done.
Nope.
I'm done.
Yep.
All right.
Tapping out.
Yes, Area 51 says, that's Ryan. Oh my God, love this guy.
Oh, I love you too, Area 51.
So go ahead, Ghostdraginzw. Why don't you start us off? Because I don't remember where we left off. I just know I have tons of questions.
We left off where you guys were talking about Bigfoot and his nature and how he was interdimensional. And you ended on the note that he didn't like how violent of a species we were.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
that's what I channeled. That's what I channeled. So we were talking about my little accidental channeling session and how Bigfoot, again, I didn't see it. The image, it shows me, and that's kind of how being a medium works. Sometimes I won't see something right in front of me, but it'll project itself to me. Even me being scared, crying, and lost, it did not want to approach. Okay. But it was very big and scary looking, but its voice was very calm and female sounding.
Okay. All right. Wow.
And it told me that it said, would you bring your kids, and flashed an image of all 5 of my children into my mind around this, and showed me human beings running around the woods with guns.
Wow. That's intense.
They come here because they love the density. I believe they come from the 7th dimension and sometimes the 9th. Now, here's the thing I noticed that I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Yeah, Ghost Cave is really bright today. I've done a lot of videos on Bigfoot. I haven't really touched on the Wendigo too much, except maybe to tell other people's encounters. But with Bigfoot, I've noticed, and people like don't believe me. Sunny believed me, rest in peace. But I always see it where the ones that have like the black fur, or even sometimes gray, are the ones, like, I've heard so many stories of A, they attack, they're very violent, even unprovoked. And B, I've come across, and I went through them just to be sure last week for when I brought you back on, 5 different encounters of different people, all respective of one another, telling their stories on different sites, saying that they were literally grabbed by a giant black furred paw and pulled into a different dimension, that they managed to escape from a black colored Bigfoot. The one I saw was the normal reddish brown image. Do you know anything about that? I mean, there's got to be different species.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because some of the tribes will tell you that the ones with the black fur and the red eyes are the ones that will attack the people. So, you know, they're also known as Genosqua. They call them the Stonish Giants up in Canada, because what these guys do, they're incredibly smart. They'll roll in sap, and then they'll roll in river rocks to create like an armor around them. And the reason why they did that is because back in the day in Canada, all they had was the flint arrowheads. So flint arrowheads going against stones, the arrowheads would just break. You know, so they were actually extremely smart. They knew what they were doing, but they also believed the Genoskwa were interlopers. They would come from a different dimension and would take people and take them back to their own dimension and pretty much eat them. So they weren't nice guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vindicated. I knew I was right about that. I always say it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
guys, there's something about these darker ones.
Yeah. The ones with the red eyes,
so
too. They tell you be careful of the black furred ones and the one with the red eyes.
Right. I've never heard, I might have probably heard of red eyed, but just didn't like process it because, like, to me, red eyes does, you know, is equivalent to interdimensional because I deal with that a lot with shadow beings, shadow entities who I believe are like 98% of them are interdimensionals. I believe a lot of them time travel from the future, and the only way that they can present themselves is in shadow, whether or not they can even interact with us. But then I know the ones that come from being attached to humans, so what we would call demon, but not really demon. It's there's probably a word for it, and they have the red eyes. So I don't associate glowing red eyes with anything kind or good.
Yeah, me neither. Me
higher
neither.
vibrational,
Absolutely.
right? It's kind of like, I've heard of green-eyed, glowing green-eyed Bigfoots, and most of the time when I hear about those, they're in the vicinity of a UFO somewhere. Like there's the UFO, and then the glowing-eyed Bigfoot comes out. So to me, a lot of people ask me, do I think, and I'm not nearly qualified enough to answer this question, I just give my opinion, do I think that Bigfoot are connected with UFOs, and do I think Bigfoot are connected with the Fae? With the Fae, I don't believe there's a connection, except they both pop in and out of the forest from their dimension. They're probably aware of one another, but I don't think they are like DNA connected. What do you think about that? I know you're here to talk about Wendigo, but you obviously
I'll talk about everything.
He does all of it. He does all of it.
I do all of it. So it's no big deal.
That's what it should say.
What's your idea about that, about Bigfoot and the UFOs? And if you guys have questions, put them in caps for me so I know that they're questions.
It's not unheard of. It's not unheard of at all. There was a guy with the last name of Green. He actually was telling stories of how he first saw Bigfoot. Then he started seeing UFOs, and he started seeing UFOs and Bigfoot. And he believed that the UFOs were coming around and dropping off these Bigfoot. You know, so is there a connection? I think there could be in some cases. Maybe they're like biological recording devices for the aliens, or, you know, some kind of experiment that the aliens do. It's really hard to say. Okay. And even as a cryptozoologist, I can't say I know everything for certain. I can just theorize and go, maybe, you know. So yeah, there is definitely a connection there. But with the Fae and the Bigfoot, though, I think the Fae and the Bigfoot do know of each other. I think they coexist.
Yes. So, well, I mean, it's kind of like maybe they have to. Diane, I'm looking for your above message. I understand that as a paranormalist. I always say that, like, guys, I can't back any of this up except with the research. I can't bring a spirit and say, reveal yourself and prove that you're standing here. I can only prove it through the mediumship that I do, the channeling, and I just tell people how it is. And I've had to garner that trust in people, that they respect me enough to know that I'm only going to bring them what I think is the most reasonable thing, or what I know to be true. And if they trust me, then they, you know, I totally get that. And cryptozoologist is the word I was looking for when I was trying to describe what you do. I was just, it just escaped me. I had no interest in Bigfoot at all. None in any cryptids. It was like, wow, great. More animals running through the wild. Did not matter to me at all. I wasn't covering them on my channel. Didn't give a poop about them until I channeled that one by accident. So let's get to Diane, and then we'll get to Area 51. Diane says it was my birthday yesterday. The first time I saw you was on Wayne and Michelle's show a year ago on my birthday. So it's like our anniversary, Diane. I love how you come in and comment under like every video, even if it's just like an emoji or like great. Guys, if you don't know what to comment, comment a heart, comment a gem. The comments are what like really bring the algorithm up for me. Area 51 said, where did the Bigfoot and UFO relation start, or how is it connected? I think you kind of answered the how it's connected, possibly.
Right. Well, there's a bigger answer to that, though. I mean, mainstream, it started in the 60s with, you know, with Green when he started presenting his theory. But if you want to get technical with it, it started with the tribes because they were talking about how Bigfoot was a spirit that would cross on over, and he was connected to the great spirits or these spirits from above. So some of the tribes were actually talking about how Bigfoot and aliens and UFOs were all intertwined. So it's an old story. It's an old theory.
I think when you said, Diane, I love you too, honey. Thank you so much. When you said they could possibly be like biological recording devices, I was thinking that maybe they're not extraterrestrial. Like I know the reptilians and I believe it's the tall grays, but it might be the shorts. I could be getting them backwards. They're like the reptilians were biologically, in my understanding, engineered to be militant. Okay, they were made as soldiers and then they broke off into their kind of own thing. But there are, of course, the natural ones. That's why there's all different colors and all different eyes, and some can shapeshift, some can't. I don't believe that Bigfoot is an extraterrestrial, like a reptilian in disguise, but it never occurred to me they could be like making these things and just putting them, because I've seen so many accounts, even recently, of the same thing you just said. It's like somebody sees a UFO in the sky and they're in the woods, and then 5 minutes later they're seeing Bigfoot, and like all this crazy stuff is somehow connected, but we don't know obviously for sure how, because we can't even prove that Bigfoot exists. And really quick, I want to say too, Dyatlov Pass, I've been looking more into it, and I do believe that they were maybe we'll have you on again just to specifically talk about that, because there's a lot there. The pictures that were taken by the guy that was the spy, one of them was definitely a Bigfoot or a Yeti. We should do that, because I would love, I could spend several hours talking to you about that. I have so many questions. So we'll do that, and we'll have you on again, and we'll just specifically discuss that, because that's a whole rabbit hole. But it did make me think of Dyatlov Pass. So Slow Motion says, so are Bigfoot the star people some Native Americans refer to?
Yes and no. It depends on how you look at it. If you believe that Bigfoot is a type of human being, like in the Navajo's case, it's a cool name, the Dene, where they got the origin of that name. Dene means from above, Ne means surface of the earth. So the Dene believe that they are star people in a way. So if Bigfoot is related to them in any way, they too would be considered star people.
So Slow Motion says that pic is a proven fake, Gemma. Okay. I didn't know that, but that's why I have to dig more into the research, because I have so many questions. And I've only watched, I think, like 2 documentaries on it, but there's so much there.
Hold on. It wasn't really proven to be fake. A lot of people are theorizing it was one of the members of the party. The one that looks like a Bigfoot. A lot of people are saying it was somebody wearing, it was a snowsuit. So it's not really fake per se.
Well, you really can't see any detail.
Right. Well, it's an old camera
it's
too.
It's a black picture. And no matter how much you blow it up, you don't see the detail.
Well, look at Patty though. Look at the Patterson Gimlin film. When you blow up Patty in that film, you don't really see detail, do you?
No. And that's the thing. And with older footage like that, it's hard to blow it up because it digitized so bad. But
the pixelization
with that
distorts everything.
A lot of people think, from research I've done on that, a lot of people thought maybe it was military following them the whole time.
Could be.
It was military.
I'm still going to research a little bit before we get into that, like really get into it. But the one thing I kind of came to a belief and an understanding, and y'all don't have to, agree with me. I love when we discuss things back and forth, was that the military had purposely antagonized the Yetis and got them to attack. I do believe that, like, deep down, but I want to rewatch that one documentary that recently came out about it that kind of exposed all this, and then look into the research of what was said in that documentary. And I've got questions right now. I'm currently, thank you to my subscriber, by the way, Frankie P, because I'm currently doing this.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Research. All the missing 411s before them. Research for my new book, Gone. which I'm hoping to have out on May 1st. So like putting a supernatural kind of thought process with cryptids and with spirit and with UFOs onto these mysterious disappearances. And I know it's going to maybe offend some people, because I've had people say to me like, oh, you're using this person's death and trying to make it spooky. But it's kind of like, spooky is what I do. And I feel like we have to, and I did a whole introduction where it's like, I don't mean disrespect, but shouldn't we be considering all angles here? Like, this person was take Eric Lewis. He's rock climbing up the side of a mountain with 2 people above him. Within 6 seconds, his rope is cut. He's gone, never to be seen again. He's not at the bottom. He's not on the sides. Where did he go? So that's the first case I talk about in the book. And for me, I feel like, I hope I don't offend his family and loved ones, but at the same time, nobody's exploring this angle to it. Paulides won't say what he thinks because he doesn't want to offend anyone. I'm just a small person, and I'm just like, if I offend people, I don't mean to. It's not really going to harm me in any way if, you know, someone's feelings get hurt.
Well, why is it any different for you? I mean, remember when that kid got killed in Kentucky? Everybody instantly theorized it was Dogman. Everybody was posting this kid's story all over the place within a day. And it's like, that's disrespecting the dead. That was a kid that was just killed. And within a day, everybody's going, oh, it's Dogman. It's Dogman. You're waiting some time. No research process
behind it, right?
Right. And like, I know people that went down and investigated it. So
that's my one worry about the book. But I'm like, listen, I'm a medium. I've seen the dead my whole life. It's what I do. So for me to not think that way is odd for me. I still have a hard time understanding that people don't constantly have dead around them. Like, it's, you know, like, you guys can't imagine like just having someone pop up. I can't imagine them not being there. So for me, I'm like, you know what, it's going to be worth it for me to do it. And there's a lot of cryptid ideas that I have of people that have gotten lost, people that have gotten taken. I myself was almost abducted by a glimmer man that I know wanted my son. So what else do you want to discuss about these things, about cryptids? I mean, I'm fascinated by all of it, and I don't want to spend the whole time myself just rambling.
So touching on the subject you were talking about, though, one of the most fascinating cases is Dennis Martin. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the little boy. Yeah. I mean, when he disappeared, you know, there was another family that saw something in fur, as they put it. And it was like it was carrying a sack over its shoulder. So to me, that's like, oh my God, was that a Bigfoot that took this poor kid? You know, so I have to wonder with that too. I even look into that case. So if you're offending people, right? If you're offending people, I'm offending people too. So whatever, get mad, have a fit.
That's how I feel. I'm like, what are y'all really going to do? You know, it's not affecting my money. I mean, I don't want to, of course, hurt people who are already hurt, but I just feel like somebody's got to say something. I mean,
you're not adding details in there. You're not adding your own details.
I'm giving that from the very beginning. Like, it's just my opinion, my thought process, my theory.
Right.
I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm not I'm not adding anything. I'm telling the story, and then there's a paragraph of my idea. Like, that's it.
There you go.
With Dennis Martin, what they did say with that was that they were trying to say it was, because again, Paulides, I love him, but I don't like mentioning his name because he like sues people. But he won't say what he thinks is going on. So somebody had mentioned, was it like a Bigfoot, or was it a wild man who I've covered, like feral humans, that they've actually existed, and they are known to take children. They're known to take children because they're having, I don't know if they're having issues like recreating or procreating, reproducing. But they are known to take children. And I did do a video on that a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, there's like really weird events too in that Dennis Martin case, like the fact that they would only search at night. What was up with that? How come they would only look for the little boy at nighttime?
And why were the Marines there? Right? Weren't like the Marines or like somebody really big in the military? Yeah.
The Army was there. And why did they keep his dad out of the loop? His own father, they just kind of pushed him aside. What was up with that? That's a little odd, don't you think?
I think it's very odd. And honestly, people get upset too when I talk about, so first, or whoever said that, Area 51. Yeah, he's really bad. You have to say The Missing Phenomenon. You can't like say the name of his books. It's really bad. But I completely lost my thought, but that case really bothers me, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like this little boy, you know, I think they did hear a scream, or like someone had seen a boy get grabbed, or that might have been the Jared Adadero case I'm thinking of, where
Yeah, that was a Jared case.
another one
Mhm.
though, another little boy that randomly goes missing, you know.
Well, with Dennis Martin, it was really disturbing how he just disappeared so quickly. He was playing hide and go seek, went behind a bush, and then poof, gone. You know, so it's like whatever it was that took him, it must have been waiting there for him.
And how are they getting away so quickly, right?
Right.
The only thing I can think of is portals or cloaked UFOs just snatching them. There's
Right.
another case I'm working on in my book, or I've done in my book, called his name was Kurt something, and he was at a campsite. This kid was terrified to be away from his parents, his mom specifically. Like, he would not go. He's scared of the woods, and he would tell his mom the first night he was out with his family in these woods, he would say, "Mommy, monsters are in there," pointing to the woods. He was so scared. The next morning, his father gets in the pickup truck to go and get some firewood. The mother goes, like, you know, a few yards away to hand wash the clothes. This little boy gets on his brand new shiny red tricycle, and he goes riding, you know, after his dad. He never comes back. And they find there were like 3 witnesses that saw him pedaling as fast as his little legs could go, like he was either running away from or towards something. He was completely focused on as fast as he can. They found his brand new red tricycle just sitting at a dead end in the woods. Like someone had just taken it and left it there. And this kid was never found. And there was one way in and one way out right there at the campsite. Nobody was getting in without them seeing it. They were right there at the entrance.
Whoa.
Yeah. You know what? Keep talking. I'm going to look up the name of that kid.
Okay. You got some questions there, Ghost?
Actually, because missing. Well, I was just reading one real quick here. Of the kids who go missing is there a difference in the amount of boys as opposed to girls who go missing? You know, that's a good question. I've seen to have read about much more boys.
Yeah, honestly, he's right. Slow motion is right, because when you hear about missing people, it's little boys. It's not really little girls, which is really peculiar. It makes you wonder what it is.
You would think it'd be the other way around.
Yeah, is it the pheromones or something that little boys give off, or what? Which I don't know, because like little boys don't give off pheromones yet. They haven't hit puberty just yet.
Yes.
So
and also, if you think about it, what about all of the college-aged boys that go missing and end up in water sources under strange circumstances?
Would they call that smiling?
I think there's a smiley face killer? No. But I do think something highly intelligent is orchestrating that. And people have asked me, Gemma, do the women that go missing, the college-age women? There's not that many. Together.
No.
There isn't that many.
Look, too, a lot of these are highly intelligent people or gifted people or kids with
German ancestry,
autism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that tells you something. That they are interested in highly intelligent.
It's the brain waves, I think. I really think they can detect the brain waves.
Can I just tell you, like, as being who I am, when I look at people, it takes a minute for their physical features to come into focus. It's always been like this. I immediately will see you as energy, which is why I always say I see people at a soul level, because I'll see your energy immediately, what's inside of you, how light you are, how dark you are, your potential. Like, I see all these things, and then within 30 seconds, your physical being, the first time I see you, will come into play. And that's hard for a lot of people to understand. But in reference to what we're talking about, does that make sense? Are they seeing the way that I sometimes see, where they're seeing the energy of the person, the aura? People who are very, very smart, high IQ, vibrate extremely high, and people with like autism who are on the spectrum, believe it, they also vibrate much higher than the average human being. Their energy is just beautiful, out there, bright. It's very attractive to me as a human. Like, I want to be near these people. So an extraterrestrial or a highly intelligent being, don't think for 1 second that ETs aren't vibrating to disguise as humans and among us, because they are.
True.
And maybe this is one of the reasons they're here. Why shoes? My mom made a good point. If somebody is pulling you or dragging you, they could possibly pull your shoes off.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Or I know like the Fae are like super duper clean. Maybe they don't want dirty shoes in their realm. I mean,
That's possible
on
too.
a level, I know how ridiculous it sounds, but in this community, it really doesn't. It's we have to think about this. That kid's name was Kurt Newton, by the way.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, crazy stories. I've come across so many that I'm just like, what happened?
That's what's great about our community, though. The crazier you are, the better off it is. So you can be insane and people be like, yeah.
I wouldn't trade what I do for the world. This YouTube has opened up an entire new world for me of just amazing people. Most little girls aren't tomboys like me and Smoochie. Yeah, I was kind of a tomboy. They called me the junkyard princess because I'd have like my tiara, my princess dress, and then I'm like helping my dad fix a car. But I noticed, yeah, my dad raised me for like half my life, then my mom raised me the other half. So I was kind of both. But I was thinking that too. Maybe it's just that, that's what I was going to say before. People get upset when I mention Dior Kuntz because they're like, the parents did it. I got to be honest with you, from the amount of research I put into that and being a medium, sometimes I end up with the people who passed in my presence without asking. That's why I did the Hamilton short yesterday, for anyone who was wondering. It's like I'm watching a documentary and suddenly they're there. His parents did not hurt him. And I don't know exactly what happened to him, but that's another case of a little boy who just vanished in a blink of an eye. I think the parents were just doing something else. Like maybe drugs were involved. They were hiding something, but they did not hurt that little boy. And people get angry, and that's okay. But it's like another little kid just gone. Roger Blair wants to know, have you ever investigated the Goat Man? Welcome, Kelly.
Oh, absolutely. Goat Man's one of my my favorite. It's one of my most feared too. I'm terrified of the Goat Man. So you have the Fort Worth monster, then you get the Poke Lick monster, okay? Neither of them sound like they're good guys. So you got the Goat Man, who usually ends up showing up with an axe. And when you look into the story of the Goat Man, there's two different origins, but both are really dark and grotesque. One of them is it was a scientist that was working on goats, and he actually, did some experiments on himself, and he became this hybrid of a human and a goat. That one's more sci-fi, okay? Now, the more horror movie version of the Goat Man's origin is there was a goat farmer way back in the 1800s. And, he was African-American, and somehow he made the other white farmers very angry with him. So they lynch mobbed this guy. And when they hung him, they actually cut a goat's head off, and they put the goat's head on him. And allegedly, after they did that, that's when the Goat Man was being witnessed, walking around with an axe, taking revenge on the people that killed them, essentially. So
this is
it's very, very dark.
Legends and stories. Same thing with the Pig Man, too.
Yeah, so it's a really dark story, and it's something that you got to be really careful of.
Can I tell you why I believe that? Again, doing what I do and what I've done my whole life, working with spirit and everything. And I remind people of that because it's just not just coming out of nowhere. There are some things I don't want to say, but I believe that second story, as horrible as it is, because what happens is if you don't cross over due to wanting revenge, just not wanting to, being afraid, whatever your reason is, you become earthbound. And the longer you're earthbound, you will start to kind of lose your humanity. I've seen ancient spirits that look like giant spiders or beasts and then I can tell because of the teeny tiny flicker around them that they were once human, but they look beastly and monstrous in spirit. They've lost their humanity. With the Goat Man, if you die in such a terrible, horrible way, he could have actually taken on that energy. They can appear however they want. Yeah. So him appearing in that way with the killing probably gained some sort of energetic power or good feeling and went on to continue wanting that good feeling. When we cross over into spirit, we don't need to do things to be happy or feel loved. We just are. But when you're earthbound, you do have to pull that energy from somewhere. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
so
do.
I believe that. They were seeing his spirit as he wanted it displayed, and it made him powerful. Definitely
It's
believe that.
terrifying though. Like when you really look into the goat man though, you kind of go, oh, no, I don't want to see you. But I think there's occult ties too. I think maybe he was practicing some of the stuff that he shouldn't have been touching. And that's why when he died,
Even
he
more
came
so
back.
than
Yeah, he came back as this goat thing. Because, when you picture Lucifer, Baphomet, it's usually a goat-headed being, right?
yes.
So maybe he was practicing some kind of Satanism that, it kind of cursed his being in a way.
Well, Area 51, I wasn't talking about like dreams. I'm not personally afraid of spiders. I was talking about as a medium, like if I go into someone's house and they keep seeing this thing, they think it's always a demon, but usually it's just portraying itself in that way because it's become some beastly thing. It's not like me dreaming, it's me channeling, which I don't do much too often because my age, like you start to get sick and need like transfusions. Because if you have dead around you, it doesn't matter. Like they feed off of you, whether they're cool dead people or a-holes, right?
Or the other.
With the goat man reminds me also of like the Minotaur, the story of the Minotaur in Greek mythology.
The satyrs.
Guy, yeah, like he asked for the bull to prove that he was the most powerful, but then he sacrificed a lesser bull. The god got mad and had his wife mate with the bull, and then that was the Minotaur. Also, that woman from Louisiana, what was her name? Madam, she had all the slaves. She would torture them, and she would put bulls' heads on the slaves after they passed or hang them with the bull's head. So it's not uncommon. And voodoo, was and still is, or I'd say dark magic. I don't want to blame it on voodoo because I know voodoo is a religion. Dark magic, like you said, that even ups the chance because in the minute that you cross over, you are confronted with this dark magic that you've been working with. And you probably have to, Lollery, yes, thank you, Life with Bobby, and welcome. You probably have to give something. You know what I'm saying? That makes perfect sense. I want to give you time to talk about whatever you want to talk about, or if Ghost Dragon has questions.
No, I'm open to questions. I know Ghost has some, so I'm waiting for him to fire off.
You guys touching on Goat Man and Pig Man. There's a story here in Ohio, and I believe in Kentucky too. I'm not sure of location, but I know there's one here in Ohio where there was this orphanage, and they took in these children. This guy was really sadistic. And they did things to him and deformed them and experimented on them. And now these children are running around the forest. And somebody said they look like inbreds.
Oh, the melon heads.
Yeah, the melon heads.
I went and
man.
And it's a
that's
weird
creepy
story,
stuff.
And I hear it a lot up north and down south. And I've never ever been able to pinpoint if this was true or not, but it's a heck of a story.
It's a hell of a story if it's not true. If it's not a true story, it might not be, but if it isn't, it's one hell of a story for somebody to make up. They had an imagination. I want to sit with these people and be like, where'd you come up with this?
When you have this many people, though, this is what I always try to like push to people. When you have this many people, like with the BEK coming up for since the dawn of time with these stories, all independent of one another, all across the world, before the internet, before anyone knew how to connect with other people, you couldn't look this stuff up. Even in 2013, when I first found out about the BEK, became obsessed, there wasn't a lot out there about them. I had no idea I'd be writing a book about them 10 years later. But we had in New Jersey, I used to always call them the Jackson Fives. I could never remember their names, but they were the Jackson Whites. And people say like, oh, Midgetville. Well, it's not really Midgetville. Barnum and Bailey had a base here, I guess because of the fairs or whatever they were doing in New York and the carnivals. And he built a little town that has like mini houses. I've been there, and they will chase you because you are coming there in the middle of the night, usually teenagers or drunk, and you're staring at them. Just like the Jackson Whites. They're just albino people who just have this skin thing going on, like the lack of melatonin or whatever it is. And of course they're going to chase you and get angry. Do you want people, drunk teenagers outside of your window, slamming on the horn, waking you up at 3 a.m. every single night, throwing beer bottles at you? Like, of course, I believe the melon heads. I've recently looked into that. It's so weird he said that. I believe it is a true story because of the independent witnesses over time. It's not like these people knew each other and decided, let's, scam. What do they need? They weren't getting money. Maybe a few bucks for the story.
Right.
Why would they do it? It just makes you look crazy.
You learn that in cryptozoology real quick. Like some people will tell you, oh, if a bunch of people are saying it, it's made up. But as a cryptozoologist, you learn, well, if a lot of people are seeing it, maybe it's not made up. And that's when you start interrogating people and investigating these cases before you just blow it off. You don't ever just blow it off. It's not the right way to do things.
Roger Blair says, one of my great aunts on my dad's side of the family used to tell of a Bigfoot type creature that roamed the area where we live. She'd say to watch when we're in the woods because of it. And I was actually going to ask, you're in Kentucky? I don't remember. I can't remember where everyone's from. Nomeo, by the way, welcome. Lotus Girl, what's the name of that boy that disappeared? His name is Kurt Ronald Newton, the one I was just talking about on the tricycle. And Andrew and Gnomes, my Nomeo, says there used to be an albino village in Omaha, Nebraska, up behind Hummel Park. I heard some very interesting, freaky stories. You know what I'd like to talk about before we end? And I hate that we have to end. You've got to come back on. We got to do that at Left Path. Like, we have to. I'm going to go through the research this week. Because I would love to pick your brain about that one. Okay. I'm like, you know what I want to talk about? I completely forgot. Oh, pale crawlers. I do want to discuss them again. Latra says Melonhead's associated with Kirtland, Ohio, which is the next town over from where I grew up. So Latra, what do you think? Have you ever seen them? Have you heard people talk about them? Nut slap. Yeah, we were only texting right before stream, but whatever. Blow me off. Captain and Snail, Chris Jarvis, my favorite gerbil milker. Welcome.
So pale crawlers.
Since the last time we talked, I remember you saying like they're not the same thing. Like don't get it twisted. Basically, when we showed the images there, I probably asked you this already, but I would like to know again. Like, what do you think about them? Because I cannot pin that creature down. I can't do it. Is it cryptozoological? Is it underground human? Like, what is your educated opinion on that?
Well, it's cryptozoology to an extent. Okay, it's cryptozoological in the sense that people are seeing them and we don't know what they are. But I think biologically, they're more like a type of human. Because if you listen to the tribes, what they were is they were the Gugo, which was the people before the people. And what that means is they were a type of people that just gave up on their human ways. They didn't want anything to do with society, nothing to do with any of the tribes. So they gave up their human ways and they went underground. And because they lived underground, that's where they got the really pale skin. That's where their eyes became black or white. That's why they lost all their hair and they became really, really aggressive because, they didn't want to be human anymore. So when people are seeing these, yes, and they're seeing them near caves of all places.
Yes,
so it kind of makes you wonder, is it true what the tribes are saying? Is there some truth to that? I think that in every myth, there's a kernel of truth and you can't just rifle through it. You have to look through it very carefully with a fine-tooth comb and go, oh, there's that kernel. Then you got to run with that.
Oh man.
So I don't think they're really cryptozoology, but I still study them.
Just in the sense that there's something out there that we don't know what they are. Like Bigfoot, it's something out there that we have not been able to identify, and we're not going to be able to. Because I believe even if like the government knows, like they're not going to tell us. And like Bigfoot said to me, and I felt it in my heart, like, would you bring your kids around this? No, if I knew that someone was looking to shoot and kill me for science, like, no, of course I wouldn't. And it made sense. And that's when I really started getting into that research. But that makes sense about the pale crawlers. I've mentioned before that I believe they're underground something because of the caves.
I do.
Another thing we're always seeing by caves is the reptilians.
Yes.
They're always coming in and out of caves or from underground tunnels. But I just don't think they're all connected. There's so much going on that we don't see. And I know that just from the spirit world. Like, there's so much that I see that most people don't see. How much more is there? So,
I'd agree with that. I think it's only connected in the sense that it's a big mystery. All these mysteries are just overlapping with one another. Are they necessarily connected? No, because I don't think they're all part of the same thing. But with the pale crawlers, though, I mean, it's really terrifying when you hear of the sounds that they make. They make like trilling noises, almost like the Predator. Or they make like a high-pitched screech like a bat. So it's like, damn, do these things use like, ultrasound to hunt, like radar or whatever to hunt people? That's terrifying. I wouldn't want to see one. Maybe from a distance, through binoculars where it can't see me, but
I've seen them a couple times.
See, better you than me. Better you than me.
The things is, I know I've seen pale crawlers, but I also see something that I used to call rakes, but I don't call them rakes anymore because these things they look like pale crawlers, but there's something more demonic about these things that I've seen. They're
How do you mean?
more how would you put it? They come off more disturbing. They look more they look like a zombie that's been whited out. Sunken black eyes, sharp.
I think you're trying to describe the energy, which is hard.
Yeah, well, no, that's what they look like too. And
so, like the ghoul, more like the ghoul, yeah,
like a ghoul, yeah. But there's
I thought pale crawlers and ghouls were the same.
I mean, essentially they are.
Yeah,
essentially they are. But maybe these ones that you're seeing that seem more wicked to you, maybe they're the older ones. You know, I mean, if they're a type of human, as
more
they
evolved.
age, you're gonna look like crap. Yeah. So maybe as they get older, they start looking more and more disgusting. Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
These things come off more intelligent than the pale crawlers.
I've heard stories of pale crawlers stalking, and then I've heard stories of pale crawlers like just digging around cemeteries. You know what I mean? Like a little kid. That makes so much sense. I would not want to see one myself. They actually terrify me.
Nope.
And like even with the Glimmer Man, I keep going back to the Glimmer Man. Like, I don't think there's only one type of Glimmer Man, predator entity. I think there's military that are out there cloaked in their own, like we have the technology to do that. The public isn't aware, that are looking for the ET ones that are from the Predator movie. And I say that in my book, like all the fairy tales you hear, the Missing in the Fae book, I talked about it. I was like, they come from somewhere. Hansel and Gretel, that came from like the 1300s. There was this really bad famine, and they baked this lady because she wouldn't give up her recipe for like gingerbread cookies. Like it all of even the fairy tales come from something. You know, I totally agree with that, where like there's always some truth in it. It's like a game of Chinese telephone where like through the years it evolves, sure. But I think that's why a lot of these things we're seeing evolve as well, because you know, thought form, we can think things into life. We can
absolutely,
and I think a lot of people don't realize how much our thoughts, I talk about it with the Slender Man, our thoughts affect us. The last thing I want to ask you about, and if you guys have any questions, because we're ending in like 10-15 minutes, please put them in caps. Okay, Paranormal Highway, what's up?
What's up, dude?
I did a video on Bigfoot, and I've talked about it a few times with several people, that and this goes right back to the Dyatlov Pass. It's like all connected. They use something, I forgot what it's called. Do you know what it's called? Like the energy infrasound. I've talked about that, but I didn't really understand it. Do you believe that they do that? Because I've heard of people freezing in place, not being able to move when they've seen them. Like they can't approach.
It's a real thing. And it's funny because people think it's supernatural, but tigers and orca, they use that to actually confuse their prey. So it's very much a real thing. It does exist in known animals. So if known animals can have it, why can't Bigfoot have it?
I've seen so many people that have been like, we wanted to approach. One guy was like, we ran into this Bigfoot. We were like 10 feet away from it. I went to grab my camera. It said, don't do that. I went to grab it again. It said, do not do that. I went to grab it again, and then I couldn't move my hand, and we couldn't approach. I couldn't grab the camera. The Bigfoot said, I'm just passing through. I'll see you again, and left. Then they were able to move once it was completely out of sight. And the guy was like, one, it was gone so quick. And number two, we still haven't seen it again. So we're like wondering,
there you go.
They don't lie. They're not going to tell you they're going to see you again, but maybe you just don't know. Maybe now you have that, you know, I've heard of Bigfoot colonies.
Well, the thing about infrasound though, like it can be dangerous. Infrasound, if it's strong enough, it can stop your heart. It can actually stop your brain from functioning. So when Bigfoot uses it on you, he's not doing it to be a jerk. He's just doing it because he's like, no, go away. I don't want to bother with you. Just shoo.
Right.
And if you're not going to listen to me, then boom, zap you with ultrasound and I'll make my egress. We'll never see each other again. So there you go.
The reason I believe in it is because there was a woman who came forward. She was at like the Dyatlov Pass place. This was very recent. I think in the last 10 years, at least in the last 20, she was there with a group of, no. It was around the same time as Dyatlov Pass, a few years after. That's what
different
it was.
mountain.
But near there. It was in the same country, near the mountain where Dyatlov Pass, but a little, you know, same area though. She was there with 2 or 3 other people. I believe she was there with 2 girls and 1 guy. They start going up the mountain. All of a sudden, and I don't know the exact details, but basically the guy picks up a rock and starts smashing his head. The other girl's eyes and ears start bleeding. She starts convulsing on the ground. The other girl just runs off and like jumps off a cliff. This girl covers her ears, closes her eyes, and runs. And she makes it out alive after watching her friends. Their eyes are bleeding. They're bleeding from their mouth. They're hitting their head against the rock. This reminds me of like a movie I saw where like a bee gets in someone's ear and starts going in like it's like a horror movie I watched, but it always brings me back to that. Where it's like, what is it doing to their brain that they just want it to stop? And that was very interesting because of what happened in Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like infrasound too, because that stuff can be downright deadly. If they want to apply it strong enough, it could really mess you up. Yep. That's what we were talking about, Blue Crossroads.
Crazy. That is crazy. That's why I don't leave my house, guys. And my husband always mocks me. I'm like, I want to go to the grocery store tonight. I haven't left the house in 2 months. He's like, you're an introvert. You don't need to go. And I'm just like, sometimes I really don't. Like, I'm afraid to go out. Like, when my son gets out of school today, he's going to want to go outside into those woods and play. He's a little boy. And of course, I can't tell my 5.5-year-old, like, there's stuff out there, I have to comfort him and tell him what mommy talks about isn't real, and I do tell him that all the time. I have to, because I'm afraid he's going to be scared. When I had the alien backdrop, this is 3 feet from my bed where he and I sleep. And there's this big alien looming over, he's not old enough yet. When he gets old enough, I'll talk to him. But for me, it's like, what is it? I know there's Bigfoot out there because I've channeled it. Yeah. I know that crazy deer lady thing that hasn't come back since I said I was going to film her is out there. I know the Glimmer Man's out there. And it's like, if all this stuff is here in northern New Jersey, I can't even imagine.
Oh, you know what? The deer lady, though, it's good for you because you're a woman. If you see the deer lady, it's a very positive thing for you.
I see her all the time. She won't cross the water. I have a brook running through my backyard that separates my property from the wildlife preserve area where people hike and go up to the reservoir. She stops and she stares. And someone told me that she could be looking for an adulterous man. Which in my mind does make sense for personal reasons, but I've been afraid to approach. And then people talk me into approaching.
You're going through a hard time then.
Very hard,
so the deer woman, if you're going through a hard time and she shows herself to a woman, what she's doing is she's showing you the promise of a new beginning. She's trying to give you that strength as a woman to carry on and to carry yourself proudly and go through whatever it is you have in your mind to fulfill that mission.
I'm going to cry.
So this deer lady, she's not trying to scare you. She's trying to give you that motivation and say, do what you have to do.
Forward.
Use that feminine strength and do that goal that you have in mind. Whatever it is you see in your future, go right after it. Don't even be reluctant. Don't hesitate.
So comforting. It's so, because we didn't know, and like we're looking up, and I don't know. Usually I can get like an energetic imprint. Okay, this is this. But there are some things that I can't do that with, BK and her, and she was terrifying me. And ever since I said out loud I was going to approach her, I haven't seen her.
This is true too.
Jarvis, honestly, I'm not worried about it. Like, please. Please. But
so when she shows herself to you again, Gemma, talk to her. Like, she may not respond to you verbally, but talk to her and let her know what you're going through. And she may just give you that motivation mentally to do what you need to do.
Oh my God, that's so, like, I just feel such a heavy relief off me right now. I don't know why I didn't ask you about that to begin with, because I've been ruminating on this on live streams for months now. She's been here, and I'm just like, I'm scared to approach. I'm not now, because now that you said that out loud, I feel different about it. I feel like
good.
I don't feel scared now. I think it's just like I needed that knowledge, because normally I'm not scared. I approach anything. But I was creeped out because it wasn't something I was expecting. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, what's up? When are you going to have me on as a guest, man?
BMR, what's up, bro?
Other questions, and anything else y'all want to say? I promised you guys I would approach her next time. I might have to have a personal conversation with her, but if there's anything she wants me to put out there, I will definitely let you guys know, because I am going to approach. She usually comes like once a month, so I haven't seen her in about 3 weeks. She just stands at the brook and looks, and that's
that's symbolic too. Her timed visits like that, not to gross anybody out, but the monthly visits are
Oh my God,
kind of
that's
line up with the
so
menstruation of a female.
It does.
So
It absolutely does.
there you go. See, she's
Now that you
showing
said
the
that, I'm like, I
femininity.
haven't seen her in 3 weeks. She'd probably be here next week. Oh my God.
Yeah, there you go. So it's a strong feminine energy. So she's trying to give you that strength to move on with what you got to do.
I'm very emotional. Like, that's you don't know how that just made my day, like, to hear that, like, how comforting.
Yeah, I've been doing my research on that one, and yeah, he's nailed everything. And also the Native American, the women will also tell you the same thing he told you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I definitely trust and believe you. I know you know what you're talking about, you know. That's why I think it's like such a burden released off me right now. Like, I really do feel highly emotional for like no reason.
Well, what
Thank
you could
you
do
guys
too,
so much.
you could communicate with her in, the Native American language. Like if you want to use Navajo, if you're doing okay when she sees you, just tell her Yate. That means all things on the surface of Mother Earth are good. So, but if things aren't good for you, just, don't say anything. She'll know. Yes, Yate. And that just, they'll tell her all things on the surface of Earth and then Father Earth are good. We're okay.
And if they're not good, don't speak. Just let her kind of feel it.
Don't say anything. Just go in silence. Yep.
That's awesome. I'm going to let you know how that goes because she's been coming here for like a year now. Like when things start getting like really overwhelming for me, like the point I'm at now, like just, normal stresses that a woman has, but I get overwhelmed.
You want you to speak to her.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to.
Good.
I'm a recovering addict, so I don't have coping skills. So I get overwhelmed with stress. My coping skill was that. So, there's nothing left now. But that's so amazing. And I really do. I'm so grateful to you for that. So if you want to come on again, just let us know any Tuesday. If you want to come on next Tuesday, or it doesn't matter. I would love to pick your brain some more. I just think this is so much fun. Because when we would come on, Steven and I, we had a great time, but sometimes there was like a lull because he and I are together so much. Like we don't, we've talked about everything.
You know each other too well.
We do, and it's like it's cool to have like another person, like another voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you see,
and it's so cool you mentioned the predator because I got my predator staring right at me right now. I made a predator, so when you mentioned it, I was like, "Hey!"
Oh, let us see it. Let us see it.
All right, let me grab them for you.
I'll get mine.
Oh, the battle of the predators.
Here we go. Yeah, I made mine. I don't know if he made his. I made mine.
No, mine's pre-made.
Wait, let's look at Ryan's and Steven's. Oh my God.
This is all.
You made that out of what?
Yeah, this is all resin and clay. So this is all made and hand painted by me.
Wow.
Yep. He does a good job. He just showed me his Mecha Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
We were waiting for stream.
There we go.
That movie couldn't have been an accident. Somebody saw one of these things. Like, I'm convinced, like, all of a sudden now we're all seeing Glimmerman or the Predator entity. How in the 80s did someone just magically come up with this creature that actually exists?
It's Stan Winston, man. Stan Winston was brilliant. I think Stan Winston saw stuff. I really do. I mean, he made Pumpkinhead, so...
Oh,
I think he had visions. I think he honestly had visions in his dreams of these things.
You know how he designed the Predator, right, Ghost? He had a dream when he was on a plane.
And then he decided to put the mandolins on it because he thought it would look cool.
He saw it with mandibles and the dreadlocks, and he started drawing it when he woke up, and he showed it to James Cameron, and James Cameron was like, whoa. He was scared of it, so he's like, yep, that's the Predator. We're going with that.
What he channeled it. He channeled it.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to look into that. I had no idea. I always talk about the Predator movie and I'm like, somebody knew something. I did not know any of the background story of that.
Yeah. He did the same thing with The Thing and also with Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
My mom
Pumpkinhead was a nightmare. Pumpkinhead was a nightmare he had. He actually had nightmares of Pumpkinhead when he was a kid. And he used to draw pictures of it all the time. So when it came time to make the movie, he kind of put himself back in that kid mentality. He had a nightmare of Pumpkinhead again. He drew it again. He's like, this is our demon. This is what we're going with. So that's how he came up with it.
Ghost is John Lennon. I like them. I think they're cool. So one last comment. Roger Blair says, one of the last Predator movies had one of the characters was a little boy that had autism. Yep. And again, that's that energetic connection. That's something that really happens.
And you're fine.
Yeah, he was a kid that figured out the technology.
Yes.
That's
and with
crazy.
autism, a lot of the high spectrum kids also have a really high ability in math, the arts,
Oh yeah.
science.
Yep.
So it's really weird how that works. But
I
yeah,
think they can see the energy or like the brain waves somehow. Like I said, sometimes I'll see people like that, or even like the energy coming off of like a building that was like the subject of like a hospital, you know, whatever. And my son, like, I know all moms think their kids are very smart. My son is, I want to say exceptional, not just because he's my son. He's very like tech, like he figures something out at 3 years old when he was like that I could not understand. So maybe that's why the thing was trying to lure him that time. But
Could
all right.
be.
So Ryan, I would love to have you back next week if you're around.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it could be the week after. I want to get my
I
info
will clear my
on-
schedule for you guys. I will
Yeah.
set aside time just for y'all.
He
I
may be
love
on
it.
tomorrow night too with me and Vixen.
All right,
no,
cool.
I'm
Vixen's
definitely
gonna
gonna be
come
there,
on?
man.
Well, yeah, as far as I know, we're going to see how the day goes because, you know, with my life, who knows what's going to happen. So
I was just playing with my ring and it flew off. That's why I did that.
I'll be there,
All right,
dude.
yeah.
I got my day scheduled for you too, so you got my time
That's so
tomorrow.
cool.
So
That's awesome. I'm going to bring you guys out. I'm just going to re-go over my week. And Ryan, thank you so much. And we'll see you
my
next
pleasure.
Tuesday. Ghost Dragons, I'll talk
Okay.
to you right after stream. Bye. Thanks
Everybody
so
take
much for
care.
coming on.
thanks, folks. Have a good day.
That was so amazing. That was really great conversation. I knew Ryan was really smart, but I didn't realize how much knowledge he had beyond the Wendigo. I think Ghost Dragon's right. We should call him the cryptid guy. He just kind of specializes in the Wendigo. And the deer woman thing really affected me, as y'all could have seen. So, okay, I just want to go over, guys, if you can donate PayPal, Cash App, I could really use it. I appreciate it right now. Otherwise, support me by purchasing my books. And Monday, we're going to talk about Aaron Valenti, parts 1 and 2. Part 1 will be at 12 noon. Part 2 will be at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then at 11 o'clock, we'll be doing the Solder Children. Yeah, Ryan is awesome. BMR, thanks for coming in. Paranormal Highway, thank you. Miss Pixie, Diane, Life with Bobby, everyone I'm just looking at now. Area 51, Nutslap, Blue Crossroads, Lotus Girl. If I didn't say your name, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at who's on the screen now. You guys are all amazing. Please watch the shorts. Do like Diane. Watch them all. If you can comment, I've been trying to leave the comments on a little more. Just comment something. Comment a gemstone, a heart. You don't even have to say anything. And please like them. I'm redoing the ones that got less than 100 views. So there's going to be some repeats. I can do better. And I'll see y'all on TikTok too. Follow me. If I didn't absolutely feel like I had to do TikTok to kind of push my brand out, I wouldn't be doing it at all. I was trying to steer clear of that app. But it seems I'm being called whether it works out or not. So I love you guys tremendously. I will see you personally on Friday night at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time for Live Intuitive Oracle. Miss Pixie is not going to be with us. She's going to be on an amazing trip with Dave Schrader that I hope she tells y'all all about the following week. And tomorrow night at 10 p.m. you have Ghost Dragons, hopefully Miss Vixen Doe, and Sir Ryan again. So you guys, I love you all. You're all amazing. And if any of you have shows, Paranormal Highway, BMR, I am always open to be a guest, especially if it's during the daytime. If not, we could work it out. I need to push myself out there more. I've got a new book coming out about mysterious disappearances, but I take the disappearances and talk about the paranormal aspect of them. Diane, thank you so much. You guys totally made my day. You're so sweet. I had a bad morning, but this really made me feel a lot better about myself and about life in general. So love you guys. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and I'll see you Friday.